Every single season, centermen are the most full position in fantasy. There are a lot of centers to pick through, but in this video, I'm going to be giving you my 7 favorite centermen to draft in fantasy. You will see a theme throughout this video. I like to take centermen a little bit later in drafts that just provide overall peripheral numbers or have breakout potential. This is going to be a good video, guys, so sit back, relax, and enjoy. Starting this video off, we have Dylan Cozens of the Ottawa Senators. Now at ADP 188, I don't think anyone's really on Cozens this season, but he actually was really good since moving over to Ottawa from a terrible Buffalo Sabres team. And we know what happens when players leave the Buffalo Sabres is they tend to be a little bit better on their new teams. So in the 21 games he played for the Ottawa Senators, he racked up 16 total points. But the key numbers here are the 49 shots on goal and the 57 hits, including 8 points on the power play. Now, with Cozens, he's not really a big ceiling play. He's more of a floor play, but the ceiling could potentially be hit this season. It's just contingent on how Ottawa looks to deploy them. So I crunched some numbers. He was one of 7 players last year with over 200 hits and over 150 shots, and that just speaks to how good of a floor Cozens actually has. Now, the big reason or the big way that he can hit his ceiling this season is on the power play. If the power play clicks in Ottawa like it did last season and Cozens continues to play on the top power play unit, he should be in line for one of the best seasons of his career. So comparing the numbers between Buffalo and Ottawa, Buffalo had just 43 goals for in the power play, ranked 21 in the league, and Ottawa 64 goals for, which was the second highest amongst all teams in the NHL last season. Now, his 56 minutes of power play average time on ice over the last 20 games was the 4th highest on the Ottawa Senators, behind Batherson, behind Brady Tkachuk, and behind Tim Stützle. So Cozens seems to be a lock for the top power play unit given what we saw over the last 20 games of the year. So with him being top 6 and him being power play 1, he should be in line for a really strong season. So our projections for Cozens this season's 81 games played, 22 goals, 33 assists, 13 points in the power play, 202 shots, and 168 hits. You can see the upsides with the shot and hit volume, but now adding potential power play 1 on a much better power play 1 team, Cozens is in line for a very strong season, making him a must-draft center. We are back for Season 3 of the Fantasy Puck Patreon League. Last season, we had 12 leagues, 144 participants, and it came down to the wire. We are now reorganizing all of our leagues, promotion and relegation based on how everyone placed. We had a lot of interest. The forums are quickly filling up. So if you're interested, click the link in the description below. If you have any questions on how the FPPL works, check out our website or join our Discord and send me a quick message, and I'll be sure to answer any questions that you may have. You knew he was going to be in this video. Like, there was no question I was going to be including Sam Bennett in this video. I know a couple of you throughout the Discord are probably laughing at this point. My name in the Fantasy Puck Patreon League last year was Bennett Breakout, and this is probably the 4th year now. If you want to go back and look, probably 4 years of recommending Bennett. So his ADP is becoming a little bit more rich than we expected this season at 138. Now, it's going to be a question of where he'll actually go in drafts, given how many center position players there are in drafts. So the big news here is Tkachuk is out 3 to 5 months. This does hurt their power play a little bit because Tkachuk is actually one of the best net front present power play players in the entire league. And we're not 100% certain that Bennett will be on the top power play unit. But we don't usually draft Bennett for that power play point upside. We draft him for his massive peripherals. So last season, he had the highest gameplay total of his career at since 2017 at 76 total games played. And he was one of just 4 players with over 140 hits and over 220 shots. Same thing as Cozens. That just speaks to how good of a floor he actually is. We know he's a lock for a top 6. The only question mark here is, will he be on power play 1 with Matthew Tkachuk out? And at this point, we're kind of uncertain because they did cycle quite a few players there last season. But if Bennett does get the power play 1 duties, he could be in line for the best point season of his entire career. Now, looking back at his 24-25 stats, one of the best shot volume guys in the entire league, 10.9 shots per 60 last season, ranked him number 7 in the league, and then 19.09 shot attempts per 60, ranked him 27th in the league. Again, we don't know how the power play duties will be this season for the Florida Panthers. We'll probably see throughout the preseason. And I think because he had such a good year in the playoffs last season and won the Conn Smythe, people are going to be on him a little bit more than I would have hoped. But still, very good value at ADP 138. His projection from us this season, 74 games, 27 goals, 31 assists, 15 points on the power play, 264 shots, and 169 hits. He does have the possibility to reach the 300 shot threshold this season. If that does happen, he will likely score 30 plus goals. So there's a lot to love from Sam Bennett this year. I want to talk about one of the most underappreciated players in the NHL from their own team is Adam Fantilli of the Columbus Blue Jackets. I don't know if this ADP 191 is going to stick. These are the numbers as of September 7th, 2025. But at ADP 191, you're drafting a guy that could potentially end up being a keeper at the end of this season. And my second note here is just please give him power play one time, because if they do, he could end up as the number one pick in fantasy drafts in terms of outproducing his ADP. So last season, 31 goals, 28 of those goals at even strength, 54 points, 48 of those points at even strength, while adding 191 shots and 113 hits in his second full NHL season. He is the former third overall pick, Hobey Baker winner. He had numbers in college similar to Jack Eichel, and he's turning 21 this season. So he's beginning to enter the prime youth of his career, and there's a lot of upside there. So his minutes last year actually went up by +2, even though he wasn't on the top power play unit, and played 17 minutes in 29 seconds. He should be a lock for top 6 minutes. We'll know in preseason about power play, but if he does get the power play minutes, we can probably see his average time on ice increasing by a minute or a minute and a half, and all of his numbers across the board are going to increase because of that. So we're projecting him for 82 full games this season, 34 goals, 30 assists, 10 points in the power play, 239 shots, 114 hits, and 53 blocks. If he gets power play one time, all of these numbers will likely be increased and updated on our projections, but just updated for the entire season. And we could see a potential 40-goal season from the former third overall pick, Adam Fantilli. Jumping right over to the next centerman, we have Joel Eriksson Ek of the Minnesota Wild. Now, Ek seems to be at quite a bit of an ADP discount at ADP 135 right now. I actually think he's going a bit later in drafts. And the reason being is he dealt with injury for most of last season. So he played just 46 games played in 24-25, the lowest number of his career. But extrapolating his per game numbers to an 82 game pace, last season he was on pace for 25 goals, 52 points, 250 shots, 146 hits, and 18 points on the power play. So just a very good overall fantasy player, a fantasy contributor. And even though he dealt with injury on and off for majority of last season, he still managed to average 19 minutes and 46 seconds time on ice. And he should be a lock for line one in between Boldy and Kaprizov and power play one again this season. Now, it's interesting to think, although he was on pace for just 52 points and 25 goals, that was playing majority without Kirill Kaprizov, and we know the upside that Kaprizov has. We know the skill that Boldy has as well. Those two players contributing alongside Joel Eriksson Ek, he should be in line for a very strong season. Like I mentioned, he's very undervalued due to an injured season, and he should be viewed as a very strong center two options across all fantasy leagues. And so our projections for him this year, 75 games played, 26 goals, 33 assists, 20 of those points on the power play, 245 shots, and 138 hits. A very good centerman, a very good face-off guy as well. So with Joel Eriksson Ek, there is a lot to like going into this season. Now, I asked the Discord a little bit earlier, who are some of the players that I'm recommending in this video? Joel Eriksson Ek was one of them, Sam Bennett was one of them, and to no surprise, Vincent Trocheck was also on the list. At ADP 142, Trocheck is arguably one of the most consistent peripheral producing forwards in the entire league. He is basically above average at every single category. So since 2021-22, and this is a very interesting stat if you've kind of followed Trocheck in earlier parts of his career, he dealt with a lot of injury and a lot of weird injuries. And he's missed just one game since 21-22, just one single game, and that further adds to his stability and basically his extremely high floor. So I went back and looked at his stats since 22-23. He ranks number 73 in goals, number 76 in goals, ranks 61st in points, ranks 50th in shots, 24th in hits, and 4th in faceoff wins. I think this entire Rangers team is going to be at a great discount this season because they just weren't really a good team overall last year. But that just means you're going to get them at a huge discount. Historically, one of the best power plays in the league. Now add JT Miller instead of Chris Kreider. Miller over the last couple of seasons has been one of the best power play producing forwards in the league, and that should only help this team's power play and this team's offense. So there is a lot to like from this Rangers team and Vincent Trocheck this season. So we're projecting him for 25 goals, 44 assists, 18 points in the power play, 219 shots, and 194 hits. He was actually a 200 shot, 200 hit player last season, and he actually has very, very good block numbers for a forward. So like I mentioned, if you have face-off wins in your league, Trocheck is definitely a must-draft player, but just in redraft leagues or leagues that don't have face-off wins, Trocheck should definitely be a priority in your draft. Jumping over now to the Utah Mammoth, it's going to be a little weird, and maybe the last time I say this, but a little weird saying the Mammoth right now, but I like the team, I like the logo, they did a really good job rebranding them. Logan Cooley of the Utah Mammoth is the next centerman up on this list. He had a very, very good second NHL season as a 20-year-old as the former 7th overall pick. So looking at his year-over-year improvements, he added plus 5 goals, plus 16 assists, plus 7 points in the power play, and played 2 more minutes than he did the season prior. And for me, I think a lot of people are actually predicting this at this point, is this Utah team is very exciting going into the season, especially from an offensive standpoint. I still think they need to shore up some of their defensemen and their goaltending, but from an offensive standpoint, this team should be one of the league's best shot producing, goal producing, power play producing teams based on what we're seeing on paper and the growth and the development of their youth. So their top line this season is likely to be Cooley, Gunther, and Clayton Keller. Those three together were very, very elite last season. Gunther is a potential 40 goal scorer. Keller is an 80 plus point player. And now add Cooley to the mix, who was very good when they replaced Barrett Hayden with Logan Cooley. He was very, very strong down the stretch. Now, one of my concerns with Cooley is just the lack of shot volume, I think, is what separates him from kind of the elite level players. But what separates him from the mid-level players is that he has the potential to be a point-per-game player this season. And we're projecting him for 69 total points, 27 goals, 21 points in the power play, under 200 shots, 66 hits, and 35 blocks. Again, if he can produce the way he did and see those year-over-year improvements, he has the potential to be a point-per-game player that just gets hurt by the lack of shot volume. But there is a lot of upside with Logan Cooley going into this season, and I think it is a no-brainer pick at ADP 166. The final player for this list is Cole Perfetti, and the first player on this list with dual position eligibility, but Perfetti actually has triple position eligibility, which makes him an extremely valuable pick at ADP 169. So the big hype around Perfetti from our team going into this season is there's no Nikolai Ehlers there. He moved on to Carolina, and my guess is Perfetti will be the guy moving up to the top power play unit. And this power play unit last year was extremely good. Winnipeg had 11.06 goals for per 60 on the power play, rank 1 in the NHL, so the number 1 most efficient power play from a goals for perspective in the NHL last season. Now, Perfetti set career highs last year, 50 points, 15 points in the power play, which is kind of crazy to think about. 15 points in the power play on power play number 2, and 15-11 average time on ice in 24-25. So the time on ice is a little bit concerning, but again, power play 2 doesn't kill penalties, was on a line 2 role. So he'll likely sustain his line 2 role, but with the increase to his the ability for him to be on power play 1 should only improve his minutes going into this season. I think this is a season for Perfetti where he's going to be reaching all career highs across the board. Again, similar to Cooley, he just kind of lacks the shot volume. I do think we'll see under 200 shots this season. Perfetti is much more of a playmaker assist type of guy, but with really high point upside. So we're projecting him this season, 79 games played, 60 points, 21 points on the power play, 187 shots, 60 hits, and 41 blocks. This is subject to change based on what we see in the preseason in terms of the power play for the Winnipeg Jets, but it would not surprise me one bit for Perfetti to be the next man up. If you're a Jets fan and you're still watching this far into the video, let me know in the comment section below if you think Perfetti will be on the top power play unit this season, because if he does, the triple position eligibility is attractive at that ADP as well for the upside to be on the league's best power play. That will do it for the must draft centerman video. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you leave a like. And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next video.